Hello guys and welcome back to Td5 TV. It has now been a little over 1 year since I had my Td5 Defender Stage 2 remapped by Storm Tuning. And that raises the questions of whether I still think it's worth the upgrade and whether anything has gone wrong over that time as a result. So today I'm going to be answering your questions regarding my remap and talking about my experiences over the past 12 months of living with a remapped Defender. Secret how I feel about this remapped Td5. I just completely fell in love with it, and it still never fails to put a smile on my face every time I put my foot down. And it's wet today as well. It just makes it all the more fun. It will spin its wheels if you launch it hard in the dry as well, which is just mental and not necessarily something I recommend doing regularly, but it is possible. And it's, in summary, it's very two-sided. I mentioned this a lot when I did my full remap review last August, and if you're in any doubt about what a remap is, or if you're in doubt about getting a remap, then I highly recommend you go and watch my remap review after you've watched this video. But basically, it has endless amounts of torque and just power and noise that you would never expect from a diesel Defender. But at the same time, it makes it very, very usable. It's still the same Defender it was before, it just does everything better. Because it has that extra torque, so it's better at towing. It's more usable in town and when you're pulling out of busy junctions or getting up to speed on the motorway, because it does all of those things better. This is by no means a shining example of an old Land Rover, or any Land Rover. It's 19 years old, it's done 294,000 kilometers. It's got its fair share of scratches and dents and rust. It is a workhorse. This Defender is a workhorse. Although it may be one of the cover stars of this YouTube channel, it does get used and abused. And yet it's been looked after, it gets serviced regularly, and it drives like an absolute dream. And it's running this Storm Tuning Stage 2 remap. I mean, you just can't fault it. Anyway, enough said. It is now time for me to pull over so that I can answer your questions that you sent me regarding this remap. So a few weeks ago I asked you guys over on social media to send me your questions regarding this remap, and I got a ton of comments across all platforms, so thank you very much for your questions. So I'm going to go through those now on my phone, and the first one is, what upgrade is next? And I have no idea, to be honest. I don't have anything planned, I think, right now, modifications wise. If we're talking in regards to performance and remapping and that kind of thing, I have no intention of going any further performance wise or increasing the power on this particular Defender. Not because I don't want to do more stuff in the future though, but I'm just kind of saving it for, let's say, a future project. But that's all I'm going to say for now. But right now on this Defender, I'm not planning to boost the power anymore because I'm happy with the way it is and I don't need any more, as fun as it would be. But yeah, I'm kind of content with the way it is. was yours a 10p or 15p? Unfortunately, that does not refer to the price in pence, but 10p and 15p is kind of the model designation of the Td5, because the earlier ones were called 10ps, and then the, I think 2001 or 2002 onwards were 15ps, and they were just slightly updated. They had some fixes and things like that, but you know, otherwise the same. And you can remap both. It doesn't really make a difference. You can both be remapped easily. And this one is a 10p because my Defender is a 1999 model, so it's a very, very early Td5, and it is a 10p, and yeah, it's been remapped, so no issues whether it's a 10p or 15p. Are the standard brakes still sufficient, and is there any noticeable additional strain or wear on the drivetrain? Standard brakes have been fine. I have not been in any situations where I've been driving fast or going on the motorway or whatever and just having to slam on the brakes and thinking, holy crap, this is not good enough. I've never been in a situation like that, wet or dry, so no, I have no problem with the standard brakes. And any additional wear or strain on the drivetrain? No. What about remapping newer models? Any year of Td5 can be remapped. That's from 99 to 2006, I believe. And Puma models, so 2007 onwards, can also be remapped, but Storm Tuning, who did my Defender, they only do Td5 as far as I'm aware, so they can be remapped. Basically any car with an ECU can be remapped, I think. But yeah, if you want from Storm Tuning, then it's Td5 only, I think. But yes, newer models can be remapped. Is the remap going to cause too much stress for the engine and cause overheating and put excessive wear on the engine and other parts of the drivetrain? I've had no issues whatsoever with overheating, despite having used this pretty hard or off-road and in very warm weather and very long journeys. I've had no issues with overheating, with or without a performance intercooler. And excessive wear on the engine and other parts of the drivetrain. Again, I haven't noticed any excessive wear anywhere on the drivetrain or the engine. What's next? Have you noticed any issues with the turbo actuator and valve seizures? No. Did you get it remapped after the uprated intercooler? No. Some of you will remember that I fitted a performance intercooler to this Defender a couple months ago, and some people say that's a requirement for a stage 2 remapped Defender. However, if you go to Storm Tuning, it's not a requirement, and I've had no problem for what, 10 months or whatever it was, running the standard intercooler with the stage 2 remap. But basically having the performance intercooler means that I can remap this slightly more, so I can get a bit more power out of it now that I have the performance intercooler. But as I said, I'm not particularly interested in doing that, so I have no plans to do that at all right now. What options does Storm Tuning have for other models with a 300 TDI or the Puma models, and what is the response to the upgrade of these models? Would you say that they are just as successful as your Td5? You can't remap a 300 TDI because it doesn't have an ECU. The Td5 was the first Defender model to have an ECU, so Storm Tuning won't be able to help you with a 300 TDI, I'm afraid. There are other performance things you can do, but not in terms of remapping. Puma models can be remapped, as I said, but I don't think Storm Tuning will do that, so you have to go to someone else. How did the remap affect fuel economy? Fuel economy, in short, will be better if you drive it sensibly, particularly on long motorway journeys as well. I've noticed that, but it will be worse if you are flooring it up and down country roads and just having a good time. So it's can go either way, but just because I say it's worse when you're driving like a lunatic doesn't necessarily mean that your fuel bill is going to be astronomical. So if you've had no problems paying for the running costs of your Td5 before the remap, then don't suddenly expect to be struggling to pay for it after a remap. It doesn't change it, you know, the difference is negligible, so I wouldn't worry about fuel economy. But like I say, if you drive it sensibly, then you will benefit from slightly better fuel economy. Any signs of unusual wear? No. Are you itching for an upgraded turbo yet? No, as I said, that's something I'll save for a future project. I'm still running the standard turbo on this Defender. Has the reliability got worse? No, and which parts had to be upgraded for the remap? In terms of the reliability, what's quite funny, and you know, I guess you can put it down to coincidence, is that the last 12 months with this, having had this remap, has been the most reliable 12 months, I think, of me having had this Defender. The only thing that has had to be fixed or replaced in the last 12 months is the front prop shaft, which one of the universal joints needed replacing, so I just replaced the whole prop shaft. But that needed replacing, and that was shortly after a pretty intense off-road trip. So, and it's a thing that I've had to replace before the remap as well, once or twice, and it's just a standard part of Land Rover maintenance basically, so I wouldn't put it down to the remap, and it was 8 months or so after the remap that needed replacing, so I really wouldn't put that down to the remap, and that is the only thing in terms of reliability that has had to be fixed on this Defender since then. Otherwise it's been completely fine. It's been running faultlessly. Can I remap my V8? No, you can't. Well, it depends. If you have if you're talking like a 3.5 litre old school Rover V8, like in this Land Rover 90, then no, because it is old school and it doesn't have an ECU. Of course, there are other performance things you can do, as with any engine, but you won't be able to remap it. If you had a V8 Defender that had a ECU, then yes, you can remap it. But again, that's I'm not sure who you would have to talk to about doing that. Oh, I just missed one here as well. Which parts have had to be upgraded for the remap? You need a straight through exhaust, which is something I would just do anyway if you want to remap or not, because it makes a really nice sound and allows the exhaust gases and things to flow a bit more freely through the engine. And it's very cheap, it's £50 or something, and not that difficult to install. And then you need an EGR blank. So EGR is exhaust gas recirculation, which is a system which I think is there just to reduce emissions to meet regulations, but it's something that you can just, you know, change after the car's been manufactured anyway. But EGR is exhaust gas recirculation, which is just a thing that recirculates dirty exhaust gases around the engine in order to help cut emissions. But you can blank it off. There's again, go and watch my remap review that I did last August, and that'll explain all of this better, and you'll actually see what these things are. But yeah, you can blank off this exhaust gas recirculation thing. You get healthier, cleaner engine and more free-flowing gases and all this stuff, and a bit of a performance boost as a result. So those are the two main things as far as I can remember. And then the intercooler you don't need. There will be some tuners that say you need it for a stage 2. Storm Tuning don't say that you require it, and like I said, I've had no problems running it with the standard intercooler. So basically exhaust and EGR, which can be done for under £100 quite easily, and that's it. Have you noticed any temp variations when driving hard? No, I haven't. And that is it for the comments. So I think it's time I get back in the Defender, or more importantly, get my camera back in, because it's kind of drizzling and I think we're getting a bit wet. So let's jump back in and finish up this video. So to summarize then, my answer is not really any different from what it was 12 months ago. I really cannot fault the work that Storm Tuning has done to this Defender with their remap. There really isn't a downside. You get better fuel economy, an amazing sound, torque, power, a smile on your face every time you put your foot down, a Defender that's easier to live with in town on motorways. I'm not really sure why you wouldn't want to get a remap. So that's basically the summary of it. And the biggest, I think, thing that people have been wondering is whether it has had an effect on reliability, and the answer is no. I have not noticed any issues with this Defender as a result of the remap over the last 12 months. And like I said, it's been the most reliable 12 months that I've had this Defender, bizarrely. So I can't fault it. And like I say, big thanks to Storm Tuning for the work they did. I will definitely be doing more stuff with them in the near future. So, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and hit subscribe if you want to see more content like this on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and thank you for all your questions, and I'll see you in the next video.